Not being uncomfortable for a relationship that does not give sanctuary. Not offering sexual access where there is no embodied mutuality. Not giving the body voice, softness, or sensuality for someone else's gratification. Not mistaking being wanted for being valued. Not confusing attention with intimacy. Not performing availability. Not giving premium presents to people who give distracted presents. Not auditioning anyone for trust anymore. Not giving private access to people who only deserve public access. Not explaining boundaries into acceptability. Not debating refusal. Not letting someone turn into their injury. Not allowing someone's desire to become an assignment. Not rewarding underinvestment. Not giving more into a structure that gives less. Not accepting symbolic relationship in place of substance. Not letting future talk substitute for present tense care. Not letting someone define a self by the parts they can use. Not shrinking to fit someone's limited idea of the self. Not waiting for people to finally discover skill. Not needing applause to know the value of the work. Not letting surprise pass as deep recognition. Not allowing creativity to become someone else's mirror before it is honored as its own. Not offering free labor, free skill, free strategy, or free emotional intelligence. Not confusing generosity with self-erasure. Not holding space for people who do not hold space in return. Not letting people talk at the self and call it connection. Not mistaking someone sharing for vulnerability. Not asking questions just to make someone feel accompanied. Not giving people the benefit of the doubt when the pattern is already testified. Not overriding the body's information. Not confusing calm with numbness. Not confusing joy with denial. Not letting anyone test the self from a place already graduated from. Not making the self smaller so someone else can remain comfortable. Not letting people access the sacred without reverence. Not allowing nostalgia to reopen closed doors. Not treating "I miss it" as an apology. Not mistaking softness for transformation. Not giving access because someone finally sounds tender. Not being pulled back in through the old channel. Not letting someone's unmet needs become more important than earned clarity. Not letting togetherness be defined by someone else's interest. Not joining activities that have no genuine relevance. Not accepting generic gestures as intimate care. Not accepting check-ins that really transitions back to the other person. Not pretending someone listens well because they talk deeply. Not allowing misrecognition to continue unchallenged inside the self. Not using intoxication, fantasy, or longing to soften what is already known. Not abandoning priorities for a man. Not spending remaining energy on people who do not pour back in. Not maintaining relationships by over-explaining. Not letting a relationship survive on one person's labor alone. Not confusing endurance with love. Not giving the self away free. Not over-functioning so someone else can under-function. Not accepting "I love you" as the whole relational offering. Not letting people receive love while treating it as ordinary. Not staying available to people who only know how to receive. Not living from the old timeline.